Well, I am super glad to be here with my dear friend, colleague, client, and honestly, client on two different pieces of business over 15 years or more, Malinda Grimes. And Malinda, you are here with Jenifer Harmon on Smart Takes. That's our podcast.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we're so glad for you to participate in it. St. John and Store by Store both benefit from this podcast, and you've worked with both entities, so it's exciting to have you here on the show.
Good. I'm glad. Like I said, we made it. I'm glad I'm here.
Well, Malinda, let me just remind myself. You are at Huddle House, and your title at Huddle House is
Brand marketing manager.
Brand Marketing Manager, and I have to tell you, you're doing some incredible things. We really had such a great time doing a couple pilot tests with you. That was absolutely really fun and exciting for us because we knew a lot about Huddle House. We learned so much. And we also found that we were able to move the needle with some proximity marketing, which was exciting because you were one of our first clients to take advantage of that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's talk a little bit about Huddle House. You know, I always think there's something very nostalgic about brands like Huddle House and even Waffle House. There's sort of maybe an enchantment with greasy spoons and diners and, you know, fun little stops along the road. How do you define Huddle House?
Oh, we are a 60-year-old brand that we are taking a fresh look at, which is so exciting. There are so many things on our menu from breakfast, lunch to dinner that our guests can choose from. We're a hometown brand.
You're local.
We're local. We're in those country towns, like the country town that I grew up in, which is even more exciting. It's not called Huddle House for nothing. That's where we want people to come and huddle. It's like huddle in, you know, bring your family, bring the football team, bring all of the kids to come in. So we want to make sure that we have things that they're going to be interested in partaking in when they get into the restaurant. You can choose from breakfast, lunch, dinner, all day long, you know, full menu.
I love that. And I love what you say about huddling because I think one of the great things about having a dining room, and I'm sure that you leaned a lot during COVID into delivery where you've never before and in takeout where you probably had never had done as much as. But that's one of the great things I think about Huddle House and Waffle House and places like that. You really can come as you are.
Yep.
It's super comfortable. It's super easy. Nobody's judging you. You can stay
Jenifer,
there.
we have guests that come in and they want the same thing every single day.
Believe it.
Happy to have that guest, but we really want to get in some new guests.
Well, no,
But,
you want people
yeah.
to try it
You want
because
people
it's
to come in and
such
try it.
it's great products. When we were looking at the pilot, what we were really impressed with is, though you definitely were known, gosh, for, you know, your stuffed, what it was that the
Stuffed hash browns.
stuffed hash browns. People love that. Your Philly cheese omelet was huge. You had a lot around the MVP breakfast, number one, I think,
a
in
lot of
every
food.
market. It's a lot of food,
of
but
food.
really good food.
For a good price.
But you also had a lot of leanings towards like more of a late night or dinner option, which I was surprised you in the top 5 or 6 items was chopped steak.
yeah.
And I think that's
people
great.
like coming in and being able to get a full dinner. If you look at where a lot of our locations are located, you know, you may have a location where you're getting people who are coming in off the road, maybe truck drivers or
Right.
people who can't really be at home with their family, but they're looking for that family feel, that hometown meal. And
Right.
they can come to Huddle House and get one of those. You know, I'm always looking for a meat and two.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can come in a Huddle House and get a meat and two if that's what I want.
And it's affordable.
And it's affordable.
I love that. And I think you all have been really careful in taking pricing increases. I know you've had to, as everybody has, to cover cost of goods. But I think your meals are still incredibly reasonable.
Yeah.
And people feel like they got a lot of food for the money, which I also think is great. One of the things that we found with the pilot, which we thought was really insightful, is you do such a great job at reaching out to your guests really every month through direct mail. And weirdly enough, you think of that as an old-fashioned way, but
Yep.
today, because people had kind of quit using print, people are really getting back into print, the invitation of it, you know, the inviting somebody in to try something. And we loved that you're still doing that. And by looking at the proximity, we were very impressed at where you know, definitely reach out to, which is, I think, about a 15-minute, 10-mile drive. you actually were leaving people on the table. You actually had, if you went just another 15 miles, you had same frequency pretty much as you had under 15.
And it's so weird seeing that data, right?
Yeah.
Because you think you know your business so well. It's like, well, you draw that 5 to 8 mile radius around the store,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, these are the people that we're inviting in. But then when you really drill down and look at those individual locations, and that people were driving 15 miles to get to a Huddle House because it may have been
30
the
minutes.
only restaurant in town. It was like, okay, we need to
Yeah.
rethink this and draw that radius a little bit bigger.
And in the test stores, you drove about 10% more visitation by reaching out almost 30 miles out, and you drove another 5% as compared to your system. So I thought that was really great. We hope that you'll embrace that and do more of that. One of the great things that Store by Store has done and has done for you all is be able to tell you where your guests came from before and where they went after the meal, no matter what time of day it was. And as we see with a lot of local places, Walmart's a big place. People go to Walmart, they do all their shopping, and then they go and have something to eat. And you get a lot of that customer. So that's always good information to know. I have a sense that there probably are not that many different groups. If we clustered your whole system, we'd find that depending on how rural or how close they are to a city, that there'd be some very simple similarities between those. But I was impressed with what you all did. I think you did a great job.
And it was really interesting just being able to see that, you wouldn't really think about Publix or Walmart being your competition.
Right.
But in the towns where we're located, they were. That's where people were going to get their lunch or their dinner. They're visiting those delis. And so we needed to make sure that we're taking those into consideration when we're looking at that competitive set.
Yes, exactly. And I think a lot of times people do knock those out and they think, well, they're going to Walmart, they're getting all their stuff, but they may not be buying anything.
There you go.
That's like packaged. But I think they are. And a lot of times they do have a sub shop in there, or they have another branded product in there that you can stop and have your lunch. Well, let's talk a little bit about the fact that it is 60 years and what you foresee happening in the future, because I know you have a new CEO and I've heard he's fantastic. And I know that you've got great people in R&D who are working their little fingers off creating new products.
We have a new VP of Menu Innovation. And
that's great.
Just so excited to be able to take a fresh look at this menu and see what's working and see what's not working. Take a look at a category and go, hey, we've got these wonderful core menu items. What can we do to, revitalize that for the guest? Can we create an LTO out of this and just make it even more special, but it's still Huddle House, right?
Oh, my
And I
gosh.
think we're putting the right team into place to be able to do that. So being able to take that look, I mean, is just refreshing in itself. When I came to Huddle House in 2019, like January of 2019, I had a year under my belt and we were talking about rebranding and all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the pandemic hit.
Right.
And we all just went into what I like to call survival mode.
Oh,
so
totally.
here we are in 2023, 2024. And it's like, okay, we're bringing all of that back. We're going to rebrand again. We're going to look at the menu again. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun work. And to think that this brand has been around for that long, I definitely want to be around to see it, become revitalized and brought back to life.
I'm super excited, and I feel like there are just so many new players there, and people are open to new ideas and seeing a new vision. So I'm going to be excited. I know you can't give us much more than a hint. So we will take that and we will enjoy waiting to see all of that unfold.
Good things to come.
We're excited. Well, one of the great things about our relationship and the reason that we've worked together so long is that we first met when we were your agency at St. John for Zaxby's. And we worked together to grow the Zaxby's brand from 110 stores to over 900 stores.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but you were such a key component in there, and you were such a small marketing department. When we first started working with you and the director of marketing, it was just the two of you, and you were doing an incredible job. And then we helped to extend your department by letting the agency really become the backup. We built that field team and we built the media co-ops, and we worked side by side with you guys and with Zach McElroy every single day to grow that brand. And I have to tell you, I hate that we don't have that brand anymore, but the new CMO came in and then Goldman bought them, and that's totally fine. And we wish nothing but the best. I miss those franchisees. They
I do
were,
too. We
don't
we
you?
were a family
We
almost.
were.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about those particular relationships was that we were so ingrained into helping them and learning their personal stories and going, okay, these guys and these women, they have their livelihoods inside of
Yes.
it is our job to help them and help them build this. Just learning more about them, being in the field with them. I can remember times when you and I would get in the car and just go ride and see franchisees, and
Right.
we would hop on planes. I mean, we did plane, trains, and
And
automobiles
we
one time,
did
and
all the time.
like
But
a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of fun, but it was a way for us to connect with them, which was so important back
well,
then.
I think that's still true for any brand that has
Yeah.
franchisees. You've got to provide solutions for them and be there with the answers for their challenges and their barriers, because every town is different.
Every town is different.
And the competencies of the franchisees are different. Some of them have it all. They're incredible operators, they're incredible marketers, they know how to promote, they know how to reach out to their community. It's hard to do all that, but if you have a really good manager, then people are able to take advantage of that. But then there are a lot of franchisees who they were in a whole different career and they invested and they're working really, really hard. And I think a strong field team, whether you outsource it or you have it internally, is really helpful.
Yeah.
For any big brand, because you lose that connectivity to the franchisee. And I always say this, I think the most important thing for a franchisor and a franchisee in the corporate stores is to walk together.
And I think one thing that I learned from you guys was that sometimes we know what the data says, but sometimes we need to sit down with these people over a cup of coffee and listen.
Right.
They are in
Absolutely.
their towns, and I think we did a lot of that. We did a lot of
We
listening and trying to make sure that we took into consideration the things that were important to them and important to them in their communities, and then we helped that out by applying the data to that. Yeah.
Exactly. And we built programs for some of their very unique, specific issues. So we always said we're problem solvers, always
Yeah.
solution providers. And I think a good agency is. But then we did incredible creative
We
work,
did.
and it was so much fun. I mean, we produced so much award-winning work, and had it was incredible in the beginning. We talked all about the little stories, all the Zaxby stories. That's kind of how we got in the hearts and minds of people that really know Zaxby's, because when it was 110 stores and a new one would open up in a town that wasn't, coming from the heart of Zaxby's country, it was hard for people to know
Yeah.
what did Zaxby's do. And we were able to really connect that community and connect them to the products and have great creative that made them look and be aware. And so we started with those little stories,
Yeah.
which were real stories, real fans. And then we moved into those amazing celebrities who were also really fans and told their story. And that was just, gosh, it was just such a great
It
time.
wasn't. It was. I think now watching their success and their growth, there's almost a little sense of pride.
Oh, definitely.
That hey, we were there. We remember when, right?
Yes, yes, and most of
So
those
exciting.
franchisees are still there, and
Still
they're
there. I
doing
think about
such a
them
great
often.
job. I do
It's
too.
like we kind of all watch each other through
Yeah.
LinkedIn, of course, and it's like, look at them still growing and still
Oh,
being
and some of them have
successful.
multiple brands. They
Multiple
bought
brands,
into
yeah.
many more
How exciting,
concepts,
yeah.
and I think that Zach did an incredible job
Mm-hmm.
in supporting his franchisees, and they are such good operators that they also were able to go and buy other concepts and be great
Mm-hmm.
operators for those as well. But anyway, yeah, that was just such a great time, and we had so much fun. Well, here's what I want to just end on.
Uh-oh.
You are an incredible lady, and I am so fortunate to have you as a friend and a client and a colleague, which we said in the beginning. So, where do you see yourself going? I look at you, I think you've got so much strength in your field, you've got so much strength in menu innovation, you've got so much strength in branding. And I am so glad that Huddle House saw that in you and is allowing you to, take off again with another brand. So right now, tell us the kind of the areas you're working in, and I know we can't know
talk too much.
specific, no, and that's okay. We don't need to.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want you to give away a trade secret. But tell me just what about your job do you love?
I love just almost the creativity with food. I think when I worked with Zaxby's, I worked more on, the creative, the POP side. I get to do that with Huddle House too. We still have POP. We
Right.
still have that creative side to do, but more and more I'm being more involved on that menu innovation side.
Right.
Which is even more exciting for me. I tell people all the time, I started my career out in accounting.
I will. That's actually super great because today you've got to be able to read data.
Do not ask me to do any of that stuff.
We would not ever task you again
No,
with that.
gosh, no. But started my career out in accounting and just being able to be so creative when it comes to marketing. Every single day is different.
Every day.
And I can honestly say every single day at Huddle House is different. There's a new challenge. There is a new, oh my gosh, what about this? Let's take a look at the menu. We've got this test running. Let's do this. Let's build a marketing calendar. So it just keeps it fresh. And I really, really look forward to seeing Huddle House and all the good things we have to come that you guys are going to be able to see, but just really grow. And maybe we'll be around for another 60 years.
Oh, I think
knows?
absolutely. I'm expecting that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, thank you for coming on Smart Takes. You are certainly one of my favorite people, and I am excited to see what Huddle House does with you in their ranks. And thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was great to do it. I loved it. All right.
All right.
Thank you.